Welcome to the Stripped Podcast. This is your host, Allison Lassard. Let's get into it. Don't come for me for this clickbait title because we are going to take a trip down memory lane today. If you know me, you know I'm going to weave in some lessons. So let's get into this. I have my coffee. Okay. Let us start at the beginning. This is a little love story between me and 1800 tequila. Let me take a sip. Listen, I lived in New York City for like 7 years, but those were not my biggest party years. My big hot mess era was Miami Beach, hands down. Because when I lived in New York, I, had a corporate job and I was married and it was like a totally different vibe. However, Henny, when this gringa arrived in Miami Beach, game on, bitch. So, within a year of living in Miami, I was freshly divorced. I was feeling hot. I was surrounded by big, buff, scary Latin men and alcohol and bikinis and the beach and tits and ass. And it was like, heaven, paradise. So this girl felt like she was out of her cage and very quickly got into some bad habits. I was on my wellness journey. I was on my health journey, spirituality journey, but it got interrupted by, sex and just the feeling of liberation after coming out of the New York hamster wheel. And so I feel that, first of all, in the spiritual community, you know what I mean? Like people take themselves really seriously and like, I want to hear about your fucking hot mess era too. Like I can't relate to some perfectly curated feed with like no imperfections that I don't know, you guys. I find it very boring. So I'm here to tell you what it was really like and why I actually do, like I said, the title definitely a little clickbaity, but the reason being is that like I feel like these are the things that maybe people don't talk about as much on a spiritual path. So I'm going to touch on some of these points. Because I am a rambler, I did take a few notes, but I can't read without glasses and I don't want to wear my glasses. So let me just like pop open my notes app so that I don't lose track of what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to start with a story. I'm going to keep it brief. I would say that this was probably my most hot mess moment. This was probably like the moment where I realized that I needed to change my life. But like I said, I came out of a long-term marriage. I was feeling freaky. I was feeling sexy. And the opportunity knocked literally on my door with a bottle of tequila. So was I saying no? Oh, hell yes. I was saying fuck yeah. So I remember, like I said, well into this exploration, my sexual awakening that was happening there. Because I was always wild, but like I said, I sort of felt like when I got married to a very traditional Italian man from the south of Italy, again, very nice person, very Catholic, very nice family, like whatever. We're still friends. We're still on good terms. Um, but it felt like over time as I was evolving, I couldn't really be true to who I was becoming. And so it started to feel obviously like I was in prison. And so when I got in Miami and South Beach, I mean, like I said, my two favorite things, tequila and big Latin guys, I was like, have I landed in Paradiso? Like, what the hell is this? I felt like I was on steroids, like of pleasure. So that was definitely the sort of like peak sexual moment for me, arriving there, being like single again, being able to do whatever I wanted, and I did. I do remember deeper into this chapter of my life, Like I said, I was having a spiritual awakening at the same time that I was having like this erotic awakening. And I was also going through, I feel like when you land in South Beach, like you have an initiation around your eros. And anybody that's lived in Miami, like you can, I'm sure you can attest to this because it's like you're drawn there. You don't even know why you're like, I'm gonna have an amazing beach life. Like, it's gonna be so cute. Beep, beep. I was like on my Vespa. I literally lived in a bathing suit. I was like on the beach all the time. Like, I loved it, but I had no idea what I was actually getting myself into. It's like Las Vegas of the South, okay? It's literally crazy. Um, you can take it as crazy as you want. You know, people go there to literally do what they don't want to talk about later. So it's kind of like what happens in Miami stays in Miami. You probably leave with like, I don't know, a hangover, maybe an STD or two, definitely some stories. So deeper into this era, I would say maybe like, I don't know. I don't want to give too many times. I don't want to give too many details just in case. You never know. You never know who's stalking me and listening. JK. Um, I love it when you guys lurk. It's fine. I remember one night where I was dating somebody and we were having a good time together, but this was sort of like the pinnacle of my bad behavior, of like my own personal decline, where I realized that something had to give. And I never had like a problem, I wouldn't say with alcohol or anything like that before Miami. And even when I lived there, I wasn't drinking all the time. But when I was drinking, I was drinking. Do you know what I'm saying? And so on this night, I was definitely pretty far into the tequila. I would say, like I said, was it 1800? Was it my Don Julio? Was it my Herradura? I don't fucking remember. Espolon. I definitely puked on that once. Um, that's just not very good. It was some of my favorite poison, and I just remember that me and this person were. It was late. This was like probably 2 o'clock in the morning, and we got into a little bit of an argument, and my anxious attachment, which I never was anxiously attached, I've always been like secure to avoidant. Because of the dynamics with this person, it made me become anxiously attached. And I was also at a really like low point in my life because I had gotten divorced. And after the novelty of like being cute and single in Miami and being like 30 something wore off, and then I was like broke and I didn't have any money and I was like trying to keep a job there. I was overqualified, so I actually like couldn't get the jobs that I wanted at the pay rate. Like I left New York six figure and went to like literally working almost minimum wage. So it was crazy. I was fucking poor but I was having fun. So I was trying to make the most of it. And it was a really low point. I was really vulnerable. And then on top of it, I'm throwing alcohol, gasoline on the bonfire. And I'm also in this relationship that's like an open relationship, like it's not defined, like we're not monogamous. And so I'm literally like, let me make a Molotov cocktail of all of my like trauma, fears, insecurities, and also, the things that were bringing me pleasure. Let's throw it all together. Let's play. It's like the Saw movie. Let's play. You want to play a game? Let's play. So I was really wiling out. And it was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning, and me and this person started to argue. And then they were like, I think I need to leave. Calm, like not actually raising their voice, like keeping their cool despite me actually starting to act crazy. And then this person proceeded to like go towards the door. Now I was sober enough to remember this, but I was drunk enough to misbehave in this way. So, you know, that's an indicator of the state I was in. Like I do remember this vividly. I think because it was so embarrassing. And so, anyways, as this person is getting up to leave my apartment, which fair enough, like they should have, I wouldn't let them leave. I was like blocking the doorway, like, no, you can't go. I wanted like the sad thing is I was looking for connection, but I was just addicted to this like drama. And so I'm like standing in front of the door. No, you can't go. This person's way bigger than I am. But me being a baller, being like I said, the tequila is giving me delusions of grandeur. Like I'm like, I can match this person's like strength. What are you talking about? He's literally towering over me. So I'm standing in front of the door and is like, you gotta let me leave. Like this is literally crazy. Get out of the way. You know what I mean? Kind of like nice, like move, bitch. And so he didn't say that, but he was thinking it. It was like, I'm gonna have to move you, and then it's gonna be bad. So I don't want that to happen. So just let me leave. So he weaseled out the door. Good for him. And then I proceeded in my bathrobe, no underwear, no nothing, bathrobe, bare feet, I think, to chase him down the hallway. I told you guys this is my lowest point. I'm being vulnerable. Okay, so at this point, he's racing down the hallway to get the fuck out of my building, to get away from me, which I completely understand. And so I'm chasing him. I think he went down the staircase, and I lived on like a higher floor. He was fit. So he booked it down the stairs. I was like, well, I'll just jump in the elevator. So I go in the elevator. Now, remember, there are cameras. Okay. Get down to the lobby pretty quickly, but this person's already in the car, literally firing up their engine. Smoke coming out of the muffler. I run out into the parking lot, and to my complete and utter humiliation, this person is literally peeling out of my parking lot. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm hammered, standing there in my bathrobe. Literally, person's running away from me. My fucking front desk person, the guy, we had like a 24/7 concierge. They were watching the entire thing. And I had this moment where I was like, wow, this is definitely a low point. Like other things had happened and other things happened, I feel like after this, but this for some reason stuck out in my brain as like probably, I don't know, it was just an awakening moment for me because I was like, this is pathetic on my part. And don't get me wrong, there were reasons why I was upset, but because I was in such a level of like self betrayal at this point in my life, like I said, I was very vulnerable. I was naive, kind of still. I had never experienced anything like this kind of dynamic in a relationship. Remember, I'm coming from like a Catholic marriage with like a very loyal, like wholesome person. And then I land in Miami and it's literally like Call of Duty, the sexual edition. So I'm sitting there in my bathroom, literally looking like a fucking loser, taking the L. Go back into my apartment. I'm like, I literally made eyes at the concierge. They pretended not to see me. I was like, I'm just going to go upstairs and try to go to bed and forget this ever happened. Now, this person didn't call me for like weeks. And I was like, oh, I definitely fucked it up. This is definitely over. I really, really cared about this person. Like, it wasn't a good relationship dynamic at the time. Like, it was definitely dysfunctional, like, not it in many ways. However, there's a lot of love there. There was definitely like, it was just like, I don't know. It's kind of like maybe right person, bad timing, or like pros to it, but also a lot of like trauma and unhealed stuff was coming up because again, I was like out of my marriage and now into this whole new world and all of my shadow was coming up. So it was many things, you know what I mean? There's many truths existing at one time. Um, but I later came to find out, thankfully, this person did eventually text me and explain that their parents used to like argue in a certain way that was very embarrassing for like the father. And so it was like triggering for this person. They're like, I felt triggered when you were yelling at me like that. It's like, you know, my mom used to do that and whatever. So that was nice to hear. I mean, it's not nice to hear. I was happy that like I understood why my behavior would be triggering in that way. Obviously, I was being inappropriate and dumb, but also, like I said, nobody's perfect. And believe me, there was a lot of stuff going on on both sides. I was not, you know what I'm saying? There was nobody that was like innocent and pure. We were both misbehaving. So it was almost like, one thing leads to another and it all starts to amplify your bullshit and your unhealed wounds and especially the family patterning and stuff like that. So anyway, that was probably like one of my lowest points. Like I said, I felt little Miss Pathetic, little Miss Loser, and I had to sit in my little shit for several weeks and just kind of reflect on it. But I just remember that being the point where I was like, I have to get my shit together. Like this is embarrassing. I'm better than this. I deserve better, but also like I should be treating people better. Like, I don't know what it was, just my resentment and anger that had been building because I was not totally honoring what I wanted. And I was like letting things slide that, would never happen now. But back then it was just like I was so desperate for connection and love and closeness and security. And I was looking for security in like people. Um, I didn't feel secure within myself. I was looking for stability because my life had been, when I got a divorce, I basically blew my life up into bits. And then I had to like build it with fucking little itty bitty pieces of sand and super glue, is what it felt like. I was building a sandcastle with one grain at a time. And so, why would I miss being a hot mess sometimes? I'm going to kick it to you straight. Here's the deal. That was a long time ago. This was like over a decade ago. Um, I would say it took me another, after that low point, I think it took me maybe like less than a year to finally be like, okay, I need to like be by myself. I need to be single. I need to be alone. I need to spend time with myself, kind of like getting clear on what I want and what I want to do with my life and my career. And I went through more bullshit after that, like personally, like jobs. I kept getting fired, like even though I was overqualified. And then I was and I was just like broke and struggling. It's like nothing was sticking. I kept trying to get jobs, they wouldn't work out. Then I was like trying to save money, then I like something would happen. And so, long story short, let's fast forward maybe like 2 years after that, a year and a half, 2 years, I ended up having to move home with my parents because I couldn't even make it on my own, which was again, it was like just shame on shame, baby. Like when I tell you I've been at the bottom, I mean it. I'm talking you're living with cucarachas. You have no money, you have no man, you have no job, you have no idea where you're going next. And then to put the cherry on top, and I'm super grateful for my parents and what they've, that they offered me the support to come back home or whatever. But nobody with a big ego and pride wants to go home in their mid 30s to like start from scratch. It fucking sucked, right? So I was really going through it. But like, why would I miss this time? First of all, you know, I think what people don't say as much is that number one, you don't learn without contrast. Like, I appreciate those moments, even though it was embarrassing and painful. Like, I appreciate that contrast because I wouldn't know the opposite of that embarrassment of fucking standing in the parking lot in my bathrobe crying drunk off of tequila as somebody literally runs away from me, not just walks casually, bye, Allie, see you later. No, literally, you Usain Bolt. And all you see is like smoke leaving the parking lot. Like, wow, this person couldn't wait to get away from me. I understand, but it was like, I don't know, there's just something about that scarred me. It was like stuck in my brain. It seared itself in as a reminder of like what not to do and who I don't ever want to be again. And like contrast is how we learn. So when I see people, like I recently did a very like provocative hot take on the Aubrey Marcus like sacred union, quote unquote, what he's calling radical monogamy. um, I'm not even gonna like whatever. I don't agree, but I gave a Buddhist perspective because it's like a middle way perspective because I've already done the open relationship thing. The I've already done a lot of those things and I understand that we all have to go through what we have to go through. Like people were up his ass about it and I understand why, you know what I mean? Because his partner was visibly upset when they were sharing about it on the podcast and whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is I did my own hot take on it, giving a different, viewpoint because I think it's important to just let people live. Like if someone came to me, which many people came to me in that period of my life to be like, Allie, what the fuck are you? People were screaming at me, leave this relationship. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you working for them? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And I heard it and I let it go in one ear and out the other because I needed to learn my way the hard way. Don't we all? We're thick. It's like tick, tick. It's like this, but brick. Like People could have told me anything. I was getting laid 3 times a day. I was slaying, looking like a Barbie, um, on my motorcycle with my hair blowing in the breeze, glowing and orgasmic. You can't tell me shit. So I didn't want to hear it. Do you know what I'm saying? I was having a good time. Even though I was hurting and I was hurting myself. Um, there are moments of that like untamed, liberated. It wasn't really liberated because I was actually in pain and suffering, and it was actually like self-induced, and I was very much like self-loathing at that time, and yeah, like I wasn't loving myself. But the reason why I'm saying like I miss it sometimes isn't because I miss like feeling like a piece of shit and having low self-esteem. It's that I love contrast. It turns me on because I know that there is no light without dark, you guys. There is no quote unquote spiritual awakening without rock bottom. Like you're not getting there. Where are you getting? Like, you need to integrate all of you. We're here to be whole, not to be holier than thou. When I see people that are like have a messiah complex and they're all up in there, everyone's grill about what they're doing and doing wrong and blah, 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 and judging, I can tell that those people, one, like clearly have unintegrated shadow stuff, or you're not going to be with your fucking panties in such a knot about somebody going through an open relationship, for example. Yeah, someone's visibly upset, but when did we become allergic to seeing people who are upset? Get the fuck over it. It's okay, you guys. Life doesn't come with a trigger warning. Everyone's so sensitive. Listen, I'm basically Gen X. Like I think I'm like the very first year of millennial. So I don't resonate with millennial reference. I resonate with Gen X. Gen X has a thicker skin, you guys. We didn't grow up with trigger warnings and everything's trauma informed and everybody's got to be like, "Oh my god, don't say that. Don't offend them." Oh my god, that's so offensive. You're canceled. There was no you can't be canceled in the 80s and 90s. Fuck that. Nobody's getting canceled. So that's my era. That's like what I resonate with. And I'm kind of like, get a thicker skin, number one. Number two, chill out. Like, but again, I understand because I went through many phases of like being super judgmental about what people were doing and then realizing I was only judging those aspects of myself. I couldn't take it, those parts of me, my own deceptive behavior, my own sluttiness, my own stupidity, my own naivete, my own gullibleness, my own whatever, not being self-loving, betraying myself. People that can't see it in others can't take it within themselves. They just can't be with it. It's okay to be uncomfortable, you guys. Stop being allergic to being uncomfortable. You're not on a like the real spiritual path is uncomfortable. I'm saying the real because to me it's the real. It doesn't really matter what path you take. You could be Christian, you could be like Muslim, you could be Buddhist, you could be this, you could be that. It doesn't matter. They're all basically saying the same thing with different words. The point is we're trying to be free from suffering, right? We're trying to like get liberated or wake up. Buddha means to wake up. So I chose Buddhism because it's the one that resonated the most, right? Like I could have been Catholic, could have been Roman Catholic. That's my dad's, that's how I grew up, and it just didn't stick for me. And then I married a Catholic, and I was like, yeah, no, like this is not my jam. Buddhism really like felt correct to me, and that's why I did it. But I love contrast because you guys, the shadow work is where the gold is. Like if you can't be at one with your dark side and actually have love for it and compassion and almost and just giggle at it. Like I think about that story and I was devastated in that moment of standing there in my bathrobe, like I said, like a loser. Um, and then later I was like, that's like literally great content. It's gonna make for some great content later. Um, but yeah, no, it's how I learned. And like I said, being in a non-monogamous type of connection, even though it was like some people do like polyamory, but they do it like really openly and like they do it pretty well. I'm not saying it doesn't seem to be successful for most people, but for the very few that succeed in it and enjoy it, good for you. I think it's incredibly hard. I mean, I can barely be with myself and all of me, let alone then two people and all of us. And then it's like, then you want to add a fucking third in, like, but go off if that's what works for you. Because I literally don't mind, whatever. It doesn't bother me at all, actually. However, that's not what I really wanted. You know what I mean? I was doing it because I was having fun and, genuinely was enjoying a person and all the perks that came with, but then it came with a lot of pain. But I'm grateful for that pain. And like I said, sometimes I miss the the freedom almost. Like I said, even though it was coming with suffering, like the freedom before I felt like pressure to do things correctly, so to speak, like spiritually correct. Like, for example, I took Buddhist vows and now I'm sober. And so now I'm just a coffee addict. No, LOL, sort of. Um, I got sober because I knew that for me to go all the way, like I always had this weird feeling in the back of my mind, like one day you're not going to drink. So just drink now, just get it out of your system and have fun because I could feel like some weird vision in the future was going to be sober. So I got sober in 2024 springtime, like early in the year. And I only had one glass of wine in that year since then. It's like June now. So it's been over a year. And I did it one time just to see if I missed it. I was like, let me just drink. I had friends from Europe here. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to like do a glass of wine and see. I didn't even finish it. I think I took a few sips and I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. But like, do I miss pounding tequila? Kinda. Sometimes I do miss it. I miss the first 20 minutes of a buzz, but then I don't miss it because then I get like anxious and pukey. Um, but I'm not making this episode to glorify being a hot mess. I'm making this episode because I want you guys to understand that like this is relatable. Like I don't want to hear your little Miss Perfect shit. Like but the truth about the spiritual path is that it can be lonely. Because what ended up happening when I started to actually get my shit together genuinely, and it took me like this has been like I said, this is over 10 years ago. So it's been slow and steady. It was not a race, like it didn't happen quickly. It was a journey, you know? So it's been lonely. Like the truth is, you're gonna lose contacts. You're gonna lose quote unquote friends. My circle, my social circle got a lot smaller and more intimate. Um, Certain people that you vibe with when you're drinking or smoking or whatever it is that you're doing, when you get, for example, more lucid, the drama isn't going to pull you in the same way. So that can be really triggering for other people that are still in the drama. Like when you're no longer engaging with the drama, they can get super triggered and reactive and might project that back onto you, trying to like point the finger, but you're just not playing the game anymore. And so that can feel isolating. And I don't, like I said, I don't miss literally, I don't actually miss being a hot mess. I I sometimes I miss being, like I said, more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just that I think I miss the freedom of not having to think about like a higher path. So when I took vows, like you take but I love it, you guys. I'm just saying, like I'm making this for fun because like I said, people take themselves too seriously, and also because I want you to understand, like I said, that without the shadow side of things and without being able to laugh at your darkness, at your, trauma, your shit, like, yeah, you need to heal, right? So if you're in peak trauma and you're still feeling triggered, then then this isn't going to land. You're going to be like, this bitch. But once you get past it and you actually integrate the stuff, like, it's fine. Like, you can laugh. It's all good. People that are on a soapbox and think they're better than everybody else definitely have a lot of work to do. Um, I think the other thing is that when you start to calm down and you start to exit these like loops of drama and chaos and you start to regulate your nervous system, you might be bored. And I don't feel this way really now, but there was, sorry, I'm itchy on my back. There was definitely a period where I was like, wow, I kind of miss I've missed the drama because it was exciting, not because it was fun. Like there was definitely a lot of pain that went with it, but it was definitely not boring, right? Being on an emotional roller coaster with somebody, never knowing what's going to happen next. Like it's inconsistent, it's addictive, it's dopamine. Do you know what I mean? Like you're getting a hit. Tap that vein with whatever, you know what I mean? Like give it to me. But when you get off that drama train, it's quiet. And then it's just you with your thoughts. And that's why people don't get lucid, for example. That's like why people don't get sober because it's fucking scary to sit there with your thoughts and then be like, now what? Right? It can feel too overwhelming for people. So they're like, no, I'll do the sex. I'll do the tequila. I'll do the benders. I'll do the emotionally unavailable dating with the person that triggers you every day, but you're just like, I can't get off the ride. I understand why people choose those things. That's why I don't. That's why I'm not here judging everyone, being like, "Excuse me." Now I understand, like for example, with that Aubrey. Sorry, not Audrey. What is it? Aubrey. It's Aubrey. Um, People got triggered because he was talking about sacred union, and people are just like they felt like it was almost like blasphemy. They're like, "Why are you taking something that's like to them truly sacred, like between two people?" Which, by the way, I I agree. Like for me, like union is two people because that's the path that resonates for me because I think it's a lot harder to be with one person and all of them. Not one person and a sliver, not one person and only the parts that you like. You and one person and all of the alchemy and all of the burn that comes with the fullness of a relationship of two people. It's a lot, you guys. The amount of like nuance just with one other person could last a lifetime if you are a person that can go deep and that you're willing to. It is a it's an infinite exploration that's possible in this type of relationship. But number one, you need to be an interesting person. If your relationships are boring, you're boring. Number two, you need to be able to go beneath the surface and keep going. It's like a spiral, right? It's not a straight line. Relationship is not a straight line. But for a lot of people, like the mainstream, I think it is. It's like, okay, get married, buy a house, do the thing, have a kid, get the like work, and then slowly over time, everything dissolves. It's like no more sex, no more intimacy, no more emotional connection, no more dating, no more playfulness, no more this, no more that. God, monogamy is boring. No, you're boring. Sorry. Now, the caveat, let's play devil's advocate. Monogamy is boring. No, it's not even the monogamy of it. It's the mundane. It's like that you have to watch a person leave the fucking toilet seat up and hear them fart and see their socks on the floor and just look at them when you're having a shitty day, and that's real intimacy. You have to also keep it interesting. Do you know what I mean? So like it's finding joy in the mundane. That is a spiritual path. Chop wood, carry water. What do you do before and after enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water. It's what you bring to the table. It's your consciousness. It's your level of interest and intrigue, and like what you put into it is what you get out of it. Which is why relationship is subjective, and so is monogamy. Because like people would be like, monogamy is boring. I'm an animal. I'm lusty. I want to do this and that. I hear you. Same. But part of the spiritual path is also self mastery. It's also karma and intention. Like if you're going to go be a hoe, fine, live your best life. But just know that if you're doing it and you're hurting people, if you're doing it and being deceptive, if you're doing it and it's causing harm to others and to yourself, you are planting shitty seeds along with your pleasure. So just know that that will come back around. That's what you're creating. So do you know what I mean? That's why I'm like, if you can do, like, for example, polyamory in a way that's conscious and clean and clear for everyone, go off. Like, have a great time. People got pissed off with the Marcus thing because they felt like he was doing a disservice to what they feel union is meant to be, and that people had him in the relationship on a pedestal because he had gone from being polyamorous to then being monogamous. And now it's looking like a hot mess as well because now he's like, well, never mind. Now we both want to go back to an open relationship, except his wife was crying on the podcast, even though she has a boyfriend. So it just, something about it was feeling off to people. I don't disagree. And they could feel the distortion or something was off, even though people are saying one thing, their energy is saying something different. But again, your reaction, your karma, it's all subjective. My point is, why did I miss being a hot mess? Because, like I said, it might have been more exciting. Now I have to find joy in the simple things, right? Because if I'm not on alcohol and I'm not on pornos well, I'm not saying I never watch porn. I'm saying if I'm not using those things or men, for example, and escaping through dating all the time or having sex with multiple people all the time or whatever, being on dating apps, getting validation or going on socials and looking for and posting thirst traps, which like I love doing that too. But I'm just saying if you're not doing that and you're not looking for that validation, then like how are you showing up and finding joy and pleasure? It's if it's not coming from the extreme hits, you know what I mean? Then it's going to feel boring at first. You're going to be going through your day, and if you're not always seeking that kind of high stimulation and extreme experiences to feel stimulated, you're going to have to find pleasure in watering your plants and staring out at the sky with the clouds rolling by and buying yourself a little coffee and going for a walk and like reading your book and what. Like I'm never bored, you guys, but I understand that when you get off the addictions and all this other shit, like I said, my hot mess was fun. It was fun, but it was painful. So it's like I want to have fun and not be in pain. I want to feel pleasure that doesn't have to come with pain. I want to experience a mind that's clear. But like I said, when you do that, all your shit's going to come up. So you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. And as I said, many people are allergic to discomfort now. It just seems like, oh my God, if you're uncomfortable, you're doing something wrong. And I say, if you're uncomfortable, you're probably doing something right. Um, yeah. And like I said, your circle's going to shrink. Like I lost a lot of people or a lot of people fell away. I fell out of resonance with them because I wasn't on my party girl tricks anymore and living my brat era. And so things changed and now, even being sober, it's like not everybody's down with that life. So they see you as maybe like a pariah. They're like, well, now I can go to a bar. I'm not an alcoholic, right? Like I'm not an addict. So I don't have any trouble going and getting a seltzer or Diet Coke or something at the bar and hanging out. No problem. Do you know what I mean? For some people that's not possible. For me it is totally fine. But socially it changes things. People do see you differently and they might treat you differently. And so these are all the ways where you're going to have to like give yourself the validation. You're going to have to be there for yourself. You're going to have to like sit in the stuff without escaping. And it's so empowering. But like I said, there are moments when I think back and I'm like, remember when I wasn't thinking about like morality and I wasn't thinking about like how to be more ethical. But on the flip side, you guys, my life just keeps getting better and better and better now because I'm actually thinking before I act. I'm trying to think before I speak. But you can become paranoid. So that's where I'm saying like sometimes I miss not thinking about this stuff. Sometimes I miss when it was like more exciting and less quiet. But on the flip side, like I actually love my life now. I actually love my life. I actually feel freer than ever. Sorry. Um, I feel freer than ever. I am happy that I'm not relying on all that bullshit to get excited. And I'm happy that my relationships are healthy and I don't attract there's no fuck boy, fuck girl shit. There's no drama. Actually, my life is really has no drama, which is why sometimes like I stir the pot unintentionally and realize, oops, I'm stirring the pot because maybe I am feeling a little bit bored and I'm looking for some stimulation, but I can pivot really fast now. And that's why I wanted to make this episode. And that's also why I'm going to wrap it up. Why I created my new membership. So surprise, if you haven't heard, I announced this on YouTube the other day on some videos, but I have been teasing this new space, this new members only space. And I dropped the name and all the deets. So the name of the membership is The Underground. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It is not mainstream. It is not for everybody. It's going to be by application only. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. It's going to be irreverent. It's going to be a place to do like this vibration, you guys. I am not vanilla. I am not dogmatic. I'm not rigid. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not trying to be Little Miss Sunshine all the time. I have a really dark sense of humor. I need a place to be my full spectrum self. So do you guys that resonate with me. So this is for like spiritual rebels. This is not for people that need every single thing like rules book, hand fed, spoon fed. Now, jokes, because like I actually do kind of have like a rule book for Buddhism. Like there's a path, there's a way out. So I actually do follow my vows. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like the Ten Commandments, but it's like the Buddhist version of it. I do my best. You know what I mean? And like I said, life is really it's just good. It's like not it's so much better than it used to be. But like I said, do I want to take a shot of tequila like on a hot summer day? Do I want a margarita spicy, skinny, spicy margarita by the pool? Yeah, I still like crave it, but I'm not doing it. So what am I doing? Painting my. I just did a split, half split for you guys that are on audio. I do my yoga. I do my Pilates. I paint my nails. I'm giving myself facials and rub downs and all the things. And, you know, I'm feeling good, but I'm not saying that I don't miss, you know, getting drunk sometimes or doing crazy shit. So if you are interested in being in a space that is this kind of frequency, then get on the wait list because it's the only way to apply. The application link for the underground is not going to be live. It's going to only be through email, so you have to be on the wait list. So get your hot little ass on there if it resonates. Like I said, go check out the page, all the details. What are we doing in there? What's involved? I won't say it here. You can just go to the sales page. The link is in the podcast description. And lastly, just a shameless self promo, like subscribe please to the YouTube. It helps me with the algorithm. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple if that's where you also listen. It will help, you know, it move in the algorithm there. Um, Feel free to drop your comments below if they're funny and cool. If you're going to be up my butt, don't drop a comment. JK, I use all the filters on YouTube comments because YouTube is crazy. Strict. The comments, strict moderation, not low, strict. I love you guys. That's it. This one went a little bit longer because I think on video it's kind of like more fun to riff, and I didn't want to keep, you know, this is unscripted, you guys. This is off the cuff. But if there are other things that you want me to riff on, if you have questions, like if there's stuff about the spiritual path that you want to talk about and it's like spicy, taboo, it's like not main, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to do what everybody else is doing. Never have, never will. And I'm unfiltered. So I'm happy to do podcast episodes also to like talk about stuff that you guys want to talk about if it's, you know, sounds interesting and I have a thought on it. So other than that, I love you all and I will see you on the next one next Sunday. Ciao.